Welcome back to my channel, guys, and hello. Recently, I made a video where I talked about a theory I have regarding the up-and-coming Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the respective legendary Pokemon Koraidon and Miraidon, and a few other things about how I think the game is going to function. In a nutshell, my theory was that Koraidon and Miraidon are actually the same Pokemon, that the two versions of the game are set in different time periods, and Koraidon just becomes Miraidon over time. Today, I'm bringing you a new theory, slightly altered from my original, and this time I think I may be actually right on the money. Firstly, I'll state that I still strongly believe that Koraidon and Miraidon are the same Pokemon, or entity, if you will. But my other theory of the two different versions of the game being set in different time periods is almost certainly wrong, I'll admit that. At this point in time, we've seen enough evidence to suggest that whichever version you play, you can expect to encounter the same environments, and no worse for wear, Scarlet or Violet. There is still this overarching theme of past versus future. We have two Pokemon professors who are aesthetically primitive and futuristic, and we have a whole bunch of Pokemon to outline this division as well. Cloth is a giant hairy crab, so large in fact that it makes me think of prehistoric ocean life, which was considerably much larger than the average specimen you'll find in the modern era. And then you have these guys, recently released to the public eye, and their design is clearly reminiscent of Mega Man Robot Masters. One of them even has the absurdly large boots as well. I mean, look at that! I might be embellishing some of this to suit better how I want the game to be, but you can't deny the tremendous amount of evidence there is of there being heavy themes of primitive aesthetic design and futuristic. Of course, I don't think anyone is denying that fact, but what I'm getting at is this can't just be for naught. If the game is presenting us with a theme, then there must be something to it in the plot. Pokemon games may not always have much of a plot, but it's becoming a more prevalent theme in these games. So we're expecting to experience relationships, changing moods, life lessons, and what we hope is a good story. So here's my new theory on Scarlet and Violet. In keeping with the idea that our two legendaries are the same Pokemon, what if Scarlet and Violet's plot revolves around a space-time paradox, where by virtue of a plot-driven disaster, the Paldea region is afflicted with time compression. What is time compression? Well, simply, it's when multiple or all time periods merge into the same time, or instant. In this case, what I'm suggesting is that the Paldea region, as we may see in the games, will be experiencing the past, present, and future all at the same time. Whatever the cause, be it a tear in space-time or a science experiment gone horribly wrong, I suspect that our adventure in Scarlet and Violet will lean heavily on this ever-present threat of all time being compressed into one moment. I've heard that the game is actually going to offer the player the choices of one of three objectives in this game, as opposed to the traditional linear path to the Elite Four. And this makes sense for an open-world adventure. But regardless of what objective you choose, I feel like the story is going to remain more or less the same. In the same way that Skyrim's Dragonborn doesn't have to fight Alduin, Alduin will still always be there, and the consequences of not fighting him will remain for as long as the player chooses not to. Since Scarlet and Violet appears to be heavily leaning into the open world genre, I wouldn't be too surprised if the main plot, much like it is in Skyrim, was treated as completely optional. With that in mind, I can easily imagine an overarching plot revolving around the past, present, and future trying to work with and survive each other, while also trying to restore reality back to the way it's meant to be. We've seen space-time paradoxes explored in Pokemon in the past, so it's not out of the question here either. When it comes to catching Koraidon and Miraidon, I feel like the version of the game is going to determine which part of time the player is going to get to help restore. On that note, what if, in order to completely restore time and space back to normal, the player must team up with someone who has the alternate version of the game, and in doing so, both must capture their respective legendary Pokemon? At this point, I would be willing to admit that regardless of whether Game Freak confirms that they are the same Pokemon or not, might not change the fact that they still are. It might be one of those situations where the truth is actually hidden in context and lore. Regardless, this has been my revised theory on the up-and-coming Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I think I'm pretty well on track, but not 100%. If you have ideas, input, or theories of your own, then please leave them in the comments and let me know. If you enjoyed this content, then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Find the bell icon and click it so you can get instant updates anytime there's a new upload. I'm actually really proud of this video. It did take me a little while to make, but I had a lot of fun doing it too. It's my privilege to bring you content like this, so if there's anything else you want to see discussed, then let me know. Thank you so much for watching. My name is RAGGY, and I'll see you next time.